Yeah. Okay. Great. Hey people, Franksman here. Working on my Jeep today. Been sitting for a long time. I'm gonna try to start it and run you through paces on what you need to do for an engine. Well, for the whole car, sitting for a long time, and starting it up. Just turn the key. You're gonna damage certain things. So certain things you gotta check. Run through the paces on that. And let's get to it. Okay, I've been messing with this motor. I pulled the pan off. I had to prime the carburetor to get this thing to my house. I actually started it up and drove it on the trailer and pulled it off the trailer running. So I know the drive line is somewhat okay. So that's why that's facing up. That's how the gas gets into the bowl. Carburetor pan's in the back in the cargo area. I also had to swap out the fans because I thought the fan was making a noise, that whining noise, which ended up being the transmission, you know, hoping and praying kind of thing. But this was off of that motor and it's still good. To check these, make sure the clutch is still good, and if it goes bad, this will free spin. When it's good, you'll feel a lot of drag on it when it's cold. So I feel a lot of drag on there. It's still good. So this is going on this motor, and that's the only thing I touched on the motor. So I'll run you through the paces. Certain things you gotta look for. Make sure your accessories are not froze up. You gotta prime the motor, the oil system in the motor. I'm not going to pull a distributor out. What I'm going to do is pull a coil wire out, crank it over till I get oil pressure. I got a fresh battery. That battery's pretty much toast. And when I get it running, sort through all these accessories. I don't need half of this crap. This thing is exempt from AIMS test, so I'm not worried about E-check, which means all this pollution crap is coming off of here. Besides, I always got my motors to pass, even without that stuff on there. That's how good you do a good job tuning the motor up with the basics. It'll pass with no problem. Actually, with flying colors, better than what this thing came off the assembly line. So I'll show you guys what to do with that. So yeah, that air pump right there below the power steering, that thing's gone. This thing is gone. I don't want to run it the way it is. If this is bad, I got no way to replace it. I don't want to replace it. If it's bad, it'll always pump air into your exhaust, which will burn your exhaust manifolds. Well, in other words, it'll put a hole into them, or it'll blow off the muffler. Either way it goes, I don't want to play around with it. That'll clean up some of this. You look at it, it's like, where's the motor? So vacuum lines will get redone. Go through all the vacuum lines. Half of this stuff is for stopping stuff when the engine's cold, and when it warms up, it'll turn on the vacuum system to certain parts of the motor. It really, you don't need that. You know, you start it up, you know, you gotta let it warm up. It's a carburetor, so this is old school, and hopefully that carburetor's good. If not, I got a couple spares in the basement I could use for parts or swap it out. Belts look fine. Hoses kind of look okay. I don't know where that came from. Okay, when I come up with a plan, I'll be back. Okay, first order of business is check all the fluids. I'll start with power steering. Power steering is full. It's even the right color. Huh. Radiator. That's gooey. I don't know. I could see the core. So, needs antifreeze. And oil. Oil is overfilled. Oh boy. Better overfilled than empty. Or is that mesquite? And let's see if there's anything in the training. Yes, fluid and training. And it's a good color. Okay. Overflow's empty. Washer fluid's empty, of course. Crap on the bottom too. Brake fluid's full, I know that because I just got done checking out the brakes. Okay. What I have to do to this motor to get it running is I gotta get to the fuel pump. Fuel pump's bad, so I gotta change it up. Somebody tried to run a line off the fuel pump. They probably thought the line was busted. I don't know if the line's busted or not, but I have rubber hose to replace the line all the way to the tank if need be. But I'm going to change the fuel pump first, run a line from the fuel pump to a gas can just to get this motor running, to see how it runs, then take it from there. Okay, I gotta get to the fuel pump. First order of business is I gotta loosen up power steering, and I'm gonna get rid of that air pump down there and all the rubber lines. That's gonna clean up some of the top part of the motor too. Pull out the valve, some brackets that hold the air pump in, and I'm gonna leave the steel tube manifold connected to the exhaust manifolds on for now. I'll eventually pull that off and plug all the holes. I'm not going to show any of these steps, me unbolting it. It's straightforward, just loosen up the bolt and the part comes off. So if I come across something out of the ordinary, I'll shoot a quick vid on it. Okay, when I get back, I guess you'll be able to see the fuel pump. It's down in there. Okay, here's where I'm at. I got the air pump out. Cleaned up a lot. What the air line's hooked to on the manifold is all busted off. That's going to be an exhaust leak, which is why I'm going to pull these eventually and plug them down here on the manifold. I don't know if you can see. Right there. This is the tube. Blows air into the exhaust manifold. I'll chop it off, weld that up if I can get the screw out. If not, I'll probably have to pull the whole exhaust manifold off. Hopefully I don't. Hopefully these come out. This here goes down to the catalytic converter, and of course this side busted off too. Well, rusted off right there. There we go. You can see it. It's a hole. And another thing I noticed, gonna need new wires. That one's shredded. So, tune up. It's like this thing ain't gonna start up today. So, this, I'm gonna pull the pump off by taking the bracket off. And put it out of the way, and I gotta take this back bracket off too to get access to the fuel pump and the lines. The lines are cramped out too. I gotta fix those going to the carburetor. Okay, that's where I'm at. Okay, as far as I got the power steering off. All the brackets are still on there. Apparently the pulley and the lines are locking the brackets onto the pump. That's a metric pump, by the way. And see that little square hole? That's for putting a 1/2-inch drive ratchet on there and tightening the belt, in case anybody was wondering what that's for. That bracket goes onto the back bolt to the power steering pump. You need that on there anyway for proper alignment. Okay, air pump's off, rubber hoses are off. There's everything for the air pump. The hardware and the little clamps, brackets. I kept the power steering bolts separate. There's the air pump. I removed the belt. I didn't cut it. It goes into my collection. You never know when you need a belt. Especially, that's a small belt too. So that's about $8 there I saved if I need it. Power steering belt. Belts look okay. Probably reuse those. Okay, looking at the fuel pump. This line goes down to a tubing. The guy who had it before was trying to get this thing running and was putting that in a gas can, I guess, to try to get it running, because the fuel line on the frame rail is busted and it goes to the frame rail and it stops right there, so it's got to get repaired. I probably run a rubber hose from the pump all the way to the tank. Fuel filter is getting changed. In case anybody is wondering what that third line is, that goes back to the tank. That is, I guess, when this gets clogged, this will return the gas to the fuel tank. If you have a fuel filter and you're putting it on a 2-line setup, you could just plug that off. It's no big deal. The fuel filter I'm replacing it with is 1 in and 1 out, so that's getting switched around. I'll just leave this hanging there. There's the vacuum line for the air pump diaphragm control, I guess. The manifolds are busted for that, so when I start this thing, it's going to be loud. It's going to be put on both sides are busted. Oh, and I find out why the oil is overfilled. Apparently, when the guy was trying to start it, since the fuel pump was bad, it was dumping gas into the engine. I pulled the dipstick and I smelt the oil, and it smells like varnish, so it's old gas mixed in with the oil. When the fuel pump goes bad, it either comes out of it's got a little weep hole below the diaphragm. If it can't get out the weep hole, it looks like somebody plugged it, which is probably why the gas didn't come out of there and went into the engine. Great. So this thing's going to need an oil change. Found a rat's nest on the back manifold. I found a rat's nest in this air cleaner tube. Oh boy, things just keep piling up. So I'm going to end this video right here. So if you like this kind of thing, rate, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have any questions. Thanks, man. Bye.